everybody, and welcome to Blood Bowl. I'm Complacent Badger.
I'm Syracilo.
And we are starting, this is week 8?
Yeah, buddy.
It's the Crazy 8's versus the Nonpareil Elites.
What an interesting matchup. You know, that Big Bash versus the Agility team, 1820 team value versus 1530, so there will be some inducements.
Not a cataclysmic amount, so that's good.
Yep.
It's going to be a pretty close team value.
Yeah, considering you look at the Nonpareil Elites were a brand new team at the start of the season, so getting that team value up has helped them stay well ahead of their peers as the first team in the leaguers when it comes to the win-loss and touchdowns, for that matter.
Yes. And that just comes from the coach really able to protect his team. Does a really good job of not staying engaged. Probably the best that we've seen in the entire league of just ensuring that he doesn't get engaged unless he wants to.
Right, and that's a very difficult thing to do because, you see so much bash happen that you kind of want to get involved, you kind of want to fight your way through it, and just the way that most games are designed don't really take advantage of technical aspect or technical mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most of the games that you see are hit hard, hit often, and that's how you win. But if you start out with an agility team and are forced to play an agility game, I mean, it really shows that he's developed it very, very well.
Yeah, and he's definitely got a lot of control over himself and his team, knowing when to pull punches and when to get in there. So he's definitely found that good middle ground.
Yep, outstanding stuff, huh?
Mm-hmm. And the Crazy 8's are no slouches either. This is their second season, and they've just done, as we've talked about before, done leaps and bounds better than their first season.
I'm with you on that. He's done a much better job of cautiously engaging. Now, he's a team where you're going to have to engage. You're going to have to physically move people out of the way. And instead of trying to put people on the ground all the time and injure and hurt and maim, he's really taken to the idea of you just got to move people out of the way and fill in. And you see that where he's normally getting better waterfalls, and that's just moving when he needs to move and not when he doesn't need to move,
yep.
And moving to the right places.
And, just very simple things like that, moving his ball carrier, setting up a cage, and then using his bloodthirster to start punishing. It just goes to show you that he's learned from his own mistakes and seen what his team is capable of if he does the right movements first.
Right. Now, against the high agility team, I think that I would be using a slightly different cage, but having the cage there is important. And he's got that overmatch on the bottom right side there where he has the support to run and his own zone defense if he needs to change into that.
Yeah, I think he's got a really good setup right now. He's got set up where he's spread out, so if something happens, he can disengage or he can move where he needs to be, and the opponent is not going to be able to mass on him. They have to cover all avenues, so they're only going to get a couple players to be able to engage this runner. And the runner has enough support where even if he does mass over here, it's not going to be too hard for him to peel off the defenders.
Right, and he's able to create an overmatch in different areas. So
yeah, and the Nonpareil Elites are kind of doing themselves a disservice by continuously disengaging this Bloodthirster, which allows the Bloodthirster to remain open to assist the run without any molestation, despite him not having break tackle. Oof. Trying to get out of there.
See, that's tough.
Yep, and it's one of those things. It didn't look like it was going to be, he looked like he was going to get out of there. But if you make them roll, sometimes they roll 2s and 1s.
Right.
So, and that's just what happens. So the Nonpareil Elite showing that It doesn't have to be the most perfect of situations to make somebody mess up. Just adding chances to roll increases your chances of causing a turnover.
Now, what would you have done there instead? Action Jackson for the Crazy Eights had 2 players in the middle of the pitch, uncontested. Would you have brought one or both of them in, or maybe the character in the bottom left-hand corner, and then did a block to get the ball carrier free?
Honestly, from the large amount of players that were right here, and for what he had going, that was probably the best maneuver he could have done. Now, I wasn't watching the intricacies, the exact rolls and things like that, but a 3+ dodge. Now, he did do a go for it first. That's why he used his reroll. I don't know where that was at, and that might not have been necessary, and that's what caused him not to have that reroll for that 3+ dodge. But otherwise, that dodge to reform your cage up and get away from these 3 guys, I think was a good move.
No, I agree with you. And look, he was able to recover very well.
Yeah, he was able to recover. I think that was a quick turnover from the Elves, but then rolling a 1 die and then re-rolling it to attacker down. That's why those 1 dies are not good. He had block, though, so you didn't have a lot to lose.
Well, he had enough to lose, especially if it was that early in the turn.
Yeah. But I think he had most of his stuff already set up because the ball carrier had it, and he had a couple guys around him. Safeties are engaged and on the wrong side of an agility 5 character, so this may be a quick touchdown right here.
Yeah, that agility bonus is going to ignore that character.
Yeah.
Like he's not even there.
Yeah, and with he kind of gave up his safeties, but this guy's a 1-turn touchdown anyways. Ooh, instead of doing the dodge, going for just the quick throw, which at agility 4, it's not that scary to do a pass, and with that distance, it probably made up for it, the quick pass and the negative modifier, so it was probably a 3+. So not that big of a deal.
True. That was
he rolled a 6 on the pass, so that was
what that helps.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. Like elf teams can do things like that. If you make one mistake, ball goes on the ground, they can just chuck it to somebody, and that's why it's really important to have backfield coverage even when you're on offense.
Yeah. So an injury for miss next game. That should help the Crazy Eights a little bit, trying to get some more bodies on the field.
So cage opened up right here. Big guy doesn't have guard, so an easy 1 die could come at this ball runner, but the runner. But he has dodge, so it's not an easy takeout.
Who did have guard? I saw that
it was a lineman.
Hit. It was the lineman. There you go.
And funny enough, if you were to put the lineman like right here, and then put somebody else to engage the bloodthirster, you could get a 2 die on that bloodletter.
Be a big deal, huh?
Yep. So defaulting to his zone defense and actually peeling a player off to get into the side over here, not only to slow down any flood to the right, but to start engaging in the back. And maybe even have a guy set up in the backfield for a quick touchdown with that catch dodge.
That'd work, huh?
Mm-hmm. So his standard, pretty good, holding hands, line defense to not give up too many yards. So
yep, it's got doing a good job. See, that's what I like to see, is that blitz being used to make space. Now, unfortunately, I think that after he moved the ball carrier, it's not being super effectively used to build the cage.
Yeah.
But he's putting him on point, so he's leaving a big gap in the backfield, though.
Yeah, that's pretty big, but he's also, with the amount of turns remaining, it doesn't look like he's sending up anybody in the backfield yet on the opponent's backfield, so I don't know if he's going to be able to get this touchdown.
Yeah, he really needs to get somebody on that side of the defensive line.
Because, I mean, for the games that we've seen with the elites, this is their bread and butter right here, stopping the run.
That gentle progression of just rolling their D and taking that one blitz because they know it's going to come, and then just
And having
stopping everybody else.
the double line right here, so that blitz only gets them one space. This is a really good setup right here. That even if you take out one guy, you're not going anywhere.
Yep. What he needs is to get. Does he have anybody with? He didn't put break tackle on that guy, so he doesn't have anybody with super high agility or dodge, does he?
Nope. And it doesn't look like he's going to send anybody to the backfield. So, nope. Chooses to engage. Probably didn't have the movement to get there, even with go for it to get set up. But this might not be a possible touchdown. You can ball carry a 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 go for it. It's not something you really want to aim for.
Yeah, he's got two re-rolls, but
Can only use one of them.
yeah.
So setting up a triple defense back here, probably to pull this guy off and create a better. Probably going to stick him right here. Maybe not. Now that he's pulling that guy, we'll see. I think he might be moving the catcher last.
He doesn't really have any problems with that defense. Look at that.
Yeah, and he's playing really tight over here, so if he had just a couple guys over in this area, he could get in there, and there goes that catcher.
Yeah, that's by spreading out that defense, by spreading the threat.
Okay. Makes the dodges. So makes a dodge into a tackle zone, dodge into a tackle zone, and then a dodge with no tackle zones and 2 go-for-its for that touchdown. 6-6-4-5-5.
Wow.
And
well, that's what he needed. He put himself in a situation where he had the ability to score and just rolled his little heart out.
Yep. I mean, none of those rolls were crazy. The worst roll was a 4+, and those were the 2 dodges in the first, then a 3+, and then 2 2+. So it's not like they were astronomical. The Nonpareil elites did just about everything they could have within reason, without opening up routes. The only exception being maybe putting a third line back there, but really that was the best defense that he could have hoped for.
Nah, I think that he did a really good job. He frustrated him effectively, and then it was essentially the last turn.
Yeah,
you got to go for it, and he went for it, and he made it. So that was the good way to go.
Yeah, rolling 5 4+ is pretty tough.
Yep. And you know what? You go, hey, Crazy 8's, you did a good job by putting yourself into a situation where you had the movement allowance, and sometimes the movement allowance is the most difficult thing to do.
Exactly.
He put himself where there was a chance. If he was one space back, it would have been 0.
Yep. So looking at injuries, the Elves, scoring that and then playing a really good defense did not give the Crazy 8's enough chances to hit. So we're looking only at 1 injury going into the second half, and with a tied score, it's almost like the first half didn't happen.
Yeah, and I think that when it comes to the agility teams, when they're on offense, oftentimes they're at the weakest, because when the Bashy team is on offense, they have to be very strategic about what they hit, who they hit, how they engage, and the agility team can play back and back and back. But when sometimes the only thing you can do on offense is engage, and engaging him properly, we can start seeing the Crazies choose who they want to blitz a little more effectively, how they engage, and they're going to force the elites to make the dodges, make the rolls, and this is when we get to see the difference, I think. So this is going to be potentially the change maker for the drive.
Yep, committing to a pretty big cage right here for an Elf team. That's pretty significant. It's less of a pocket, more of a run cage.
Yeah, that's that big wing guy in the middle is kind of scurry. So
yeah, I don't know if he exactly, especially with having this line right here, I don't know if he needed this one, but I don't think that guy was doing much anyways. I think he was downfield, so he just used him.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Putting a couple receivers downfield, forcing them to give up yardage, making the defense against the cage not so much.
Yeah, there's you can see how heavily he's favoring getting and dealing with the receivers instead of with the ball carrier.
Yep, and a lot of run teams could use this to their advantage. I mean, looking at teams like Ryowukin, the Stalking Dead, Mallows Mashers, teams that rely on the run. If you do the same pattern of just putting, once again, look at this number, 3 receivers.
Yep.
Put them upfield, and you're tearing off about half the team from your cage. This is what allows you to actually get movement instead of having those 7 turns stationary in the center of the field.
Right. And I think that a big difference between something like that being effective and something like this being super effective is the amount of respect that they have with the for the passing game and the movement allowance for these guys, where he knows that he has to shut those receivers down or it's a guarantee based on the agility and based on the skills that they have. An agility 3 character isn't as much of a threat when on a matched up receive.
I still think that on an agility 3 you need two people to cover, just because that the dodge out. You really need to shut that dodge out.
Yeah, and it's not a hard dodge to make, but there are some days when some teams just can't make
three dodge roll and 2 going for it.
Right, for instance,
on agility 3.
I mean, there was that one time that I, in the rain, had a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
people really underestimate that agility 3. It's only a 4+. It's a coin flip, and most things you get the +1 modifier, so it ends up being a 3+.
Right. And you look at it. Hey, you fail one, you're the chances are pretty good of making the next one. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You see a lot of people shut down on failure, assuming that that's what it's going to be forever, when you realize that on a coin flip 50-50, you failed once, the other 50%'s on its way just to round out the odds.
Yep. So looks like he might be shuffling back and losing a yard, but going on to the other side of the pitch.
He has the movement allowance advantage, right?
Yeah, not by a huge amount. Most of his players are the same speed as these guys. He's got catchers and blitzers. The catchers are 8 and the blitzers are 7. But his linemen and throwers
he does like burning that clock down to 20 seconds, huh?
Yeah, that is a very common thing. The flashing red. I was going to say something about him going towards where all of the defenders were at, and that kind of wastes the use of putting those receivers up there, but I thought he had a plan, so I didn't mention it. But now he's flushing right, so I realized that it may have been a mistake that I caught and just didn't say anything.
Oh, there you go. You ever wonder if he and Master Moose plays that they could maybe get a 6-hour Blood Bowl match going?
I would imagine that one of them would die of old age if they. Luckily, they only have to play twice a season, so.
Excellent. So he's not moving the ball like he normally does, is he?
No, and that's because the Crazy 8's are doing a really good job of shutting down the receivers, and he's kind of just creating a cage and then holding onto the ball and waiting for a chance. And I think he might be taking it right now.
That's the way to do it, huh?
I mean, if you got the agility 4 with accurate and catch and all this, why not go for the long pass? I mean, yeah. So it was a long pass and -1. It was inaccurate, but he re-rolled with pass to roll a 6. So there you go. Your player's paying for itself, and then barely catches it. A perfect roll to catch that ball. He rolled a 2. That was what he needed. Didn't even have to use catch.
Yep, and I mean that accurate pass made the difference. So
Mm-hmm. And
good.
it was pass that saved the day. Didn't even have to use a reroll for that.
That was a little bit gross, but man, I love seeing teams do exactly what they're built to do. You
Well,
have that guy with pass, and you
yeah.
have
And that's what I've
the
been talking
agility
about.
players available, and
Yeah, and that's what I've been talking about for this team is like, for an agility 3 team, that would be considered a pretty big risk doing a long pass, but he's got the stats and the skills to make up for it.
right, and he just happened to have the players in the right place. So he swept out right, marked who he needed to mark. His receiver was free. He used the movement allowance that he had, and that's tough because that was Crazy Eights did a really good job of making it difficult, and then wasn't able to adjust after to the secondary attack, the second idea.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that was that I think he started getting a little frustrated with the time that it was the number of turns it was taking for the ball to start getting there. So I think he was starting to
Yeah.
peel guys off and apply more pressure to the ball carrier, which ended up with one of the receivers having only one guy standing next to him and still standing.
Yeah, even though there were two other players in the vicinity, right? But they
Hmm.
weren't engaged
Yeah.
because he started pulling them off to cover the side of the field where the ball carrier was moving to. So,
Hmm.
uh, I mean, if you could write a play like that into a playbook and hope that it would work again, I'd do it.
And that's what it was just kind of creating that pocket. It was a little bit more of a robust pocket, and I think he was doing it because he knew that Bloodthirster had the movement to really ruin his day.
Yeah.
It was a more robust pocket, but that's basically what I've been talking about for a lot of the passing teams. Create that pocket, get your receivers out there, and just try to hold on until you can get a good pass setup, and then score that turn. And that's exactly what he did, and it worked out for him.
Yep. And we talk about that is,
Whoa, fireball.
boy,
Stun and
that's
two
where the money
downs.
went.
Yep. So Crazy Eight's learning about some inducements real quick.
Good gracious.
Yep. And using it at the top of his turn, so now he can capitalize on it. Now that we're down to a minute 30, he starts to move his players.
Right? He had to check the wind, you know.
a lot
get
of
a humidity check. They needed to get the ref to put eyes on that ball, make sure that it was properly inflated.
Yep, 30 seconds in and he still doesn't have everybody moved. So 15 seconds he just kind of makes a mad dash. And it works. That was
Yeah, nobody's got the movement to do anything, huh?
Yep, that was a really, really good fireball that really turned everything around very fast. You got a little
That
luck.
was super lucky. I mean, I think that to knock down both of those players, we've seen a lot of ineffective fireballs lately, and that was
Ooh, a dead.
super.
Rerolls it to broken neck, so that's an
Oh,
agility 3 lineman now. Yeah, but if you think about it, it's just a coin flip to hit the one guy that he needed, and honestly, it took down the two guys in the back that weren't as useful. Had it taken out the front guys, it would have been much easier for him to get to the ball. The Crazy Eights had the advantage of the ball landed between the two standing guys.
True.
So it was kind of a 4+ that took out the ball carrier, which, I can't consider a coin flip lucky. And,
Oh, I'm saying based on.
oh, no,
how
previous
we've
with the
seen-
fireball. No, I totally agree.
Oh, yeah,
that this is like way different than what we're used to with fireballs. But yeah, it just and then what really capitalized, and again, that's what we're talking about. Those wizards aren't very powerful unless you know how to capitalize. And he did it before his turn started. On his turn, was able to grab the ball and pass it, and is actually holding the touchdown for at least one turn. Don't know if I would have done that, just because I don't see the Crazy Eight scoring in 2 turns, but I mean, better be safe than sorry, I guess. It also gives the Crazy Eights a chance to take you out.
Yeah, well, that's the question: is is he trying to move the ball between players, or is he trying to? Does he just feel like he's in a good situation right now where he's not gonna get hit as much as if he was lined up? Because I don't know.
So doing
I
a
like
lot
seeing
of
that blood spatter.
doing a lot more. Doing a couple of blocks and stuff. Getting a little. I'd almost say greedy. I mean, you're two to one, so there's not a lot that you can lose in that situation. But I'm always afraid to do any blocks when I have a potential touchdown. That's just me.
Yeah, I'm with that. And you see, most of my games, if it's last turn or second to last turn, I don't futz about, But he's already won. He knew he already won, so he's already won. So what is it in his mind? I guess what does it hurt?
Yep.
I don't know.
That's about the end of the game. Niggling injury on that lineman real fast. But so that we don't go too far after the game, Nonpareil leads. I don't really have anything for you, man. I thought you played. This is probably your best game to date. You took the necessary risks that were well thought out. That you kind of saw. It's like, okay, I'm taking a negative modifier here, but it makes up for the accurate, yada yada yada. And I think you played a really good game, and the score really shows that you've really figured it out.
Yep, I say that's pretty textbook.
Yep.
Good work.
For the Crazy 8's, I know you had some pass coverage, but I think you lost some commitment to the pass coverage, and then your lack of just holding safeties back in case of bad situations, and knowing that Elves turn bad situations into dreadful situations, and still, obviously 3 times not running a safety.
Yeah, I think that's the main issue, is not running a safety and not putting a receiver, and I put receiver in quotation marks. We just put it, say, spreading the field.
The option of pass. Have the option.
Yeah, let's instead of say throwing a receiver out there, because we're pretty sure you're not gonna throw the ball, but build the options there. We'll say spreading the field by getting guys other than in the conglomeration of folks that you had set up.
Yeah, because it gives
and
you
good job getting that one touchdown. It was
pretty hard fought.
Hard rolls to make, but you got yourself within your movement allowance, and that makes a lot.
Well, and he used the Bloodthirster to make the rolls easier by pushing that guy out of the way.
For sure.
That would have been much tougher. I think even with his rolls, he still would have succeeded. But he was cognizant enough to get that guy out of the way instead of just going, fuck it.
Agreed.
Otherwise, that was a really good game, guys. I'm glad you both played that, and I'm glad everybody was pretty happy about the game afterwards. Nobody was complaining or anything.
Yeah, that was a fun game to watch. So
yeah.
Good job, guys. Thanks.
Good job. See you next time.
Later.